Good morning, my beloved. You have awakened in the land of the living, and that alone is a miracle. The sun has peeled back the shadows of night, and with it, God has offered you another chance. Another sacred invitation to live, to rise, to breathe deeper and believe stronger. Now, let us not stumble into this day unguarded. Let us not walk forward with yesterday's chains dragging behind our feet like rusted memories. No. Let us pause and lift our eyes toward heaven. Let us speak this morning prayer with full hearts and bold tongues and spirits that yearn to be transformed. Prayer, my dear, is not simply a whisper into the air. It is not just words spoken in a quiet room or mumbled between bites of hurried breakfast. No, prayer is a revolution. It is a rising wind in the soul. A deep tremble in the heart that shakes the dust off forgotten dreams and stirs up the bones of what once was dead. When you pray with all that you are, with your awareness and your wonder, your pain and your praise, something begins to shift, something ancient and holy starts to awaken, and that child is where transformation begins. You see, the world may try to tell you that your value lies in what you do, that your worth is counted in coins, in applause, in the business of your hands. But prayer reminds you of who you truly are before all of that. Before titles and labels, before heartbreak and betrayal, before the noise of life got loud, there was a whisper of divinity placed inside you, and prayer, real soul-wrenching, heart-healing prayer, pulls you back to that center. Prayer does not require perfection. It does not demand that you clean yourself up before approaching the throne. No, beloved, come as you are. Come angry, come weeping, come dancing, come in silence if you must. Just come, for when you step into prayer, you step into sacred ground, and when your knees touch the floor, heaven leans in close. God listens not to the eloquence of your words, but to the sincerity of your heart. Oh, but prayer is not just about asking. It is also about becoming. In prayer, you are shaped like clay in the hands of a master sculptor. The old fears are shaved away. The bitterness is softened. The wounds are tended to with divine balm. God doesn't just hear you. He meets you, and in that holy meeting, He begins a work in you that no man, no woman, no devil in hell can undo. You may think you are praying for change out there. Change in your job, your relationships, your finances. But more often than not, God starts the change within. Prayer alters your vision. Suddenly, what looked like failure begins to look like preparation. What felt like a delay begins to feel like divine timing. Your spirit, once restless and anxious, becomes anchored in peace that surpasses understanding. That, my darling, is transformation. You cannot touch heaven in prayer and remain the same. Your posture may be the same when you rise, but your spirit, oh, your spirit will be forever changed. Your eyes will shine differently. Your voice will speak with more compassion. You will walk with a quiet authority, the kind that only comes from time spent in the presence of the Almighty. And let me tell you something else. Prayer is power. True, soul-born prayer can dismantle strongholds. It can break generational curses. It can silence the voice of every lie that said you'd never make it. Prayer is a protest against hopelessness. It is a rebellion against despair. When the world says, "It's impossible," your prayer boldly declares, "With God, all things are possible." But you must know this transformation through prayer is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes it is in the stillness that God does His greatest work. He may not answer in thunder or lightning, but in the gentle shift of your thinking, the softening of your anger, the courage to forgive, the grace to try again. That's prayer doing its work deep beneath the surface, like roots growing in dark soil. And oh, how beautiful it is when a soul begins to bloom from prayer. There is a strength that comes from talking to God, an unshakable strength, the kind that does not bend with the storms of life, the kind that does not break under pressure. You begin to realize that you are never alone, not even in your lowest valley. Prayer walks with you, stands beside you, whispers wisdom in your ear when you are confused, and wraps you in comfort when you are broken. You begin to love differently. You begin to speak with grace. You begin to think with a renewed mind. That's the evidence of prayer's power. Not just that you shouted or cried, but that you are transformed. That the very way you live becomes a testimony. People begin to ask, "What's changed in you?" And you smile gently, knowing it wasn't anything you did. It was what happened in the sacred stillness between you and the divine. You see, my child, prayer isn't a last resort. It's the first weapon. It's not what you do when all else fails. It's what you do before you take a single step. Because prayer opens the heavens. Yes, but more than that, prayer opens you. It opens your heart to trust again. It opens your eyes to see the blessings already surrounding you. It opens your hands to receive what God has long been trying to give. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes flutter open and the world calls you into chaos, pause, make space. Whisper a prayer, not as a habit, but as a holy act. Tell God what's aching, what's blooming, what you're afraid of, and what you're hoping for. Tell Him about your dreams, your regrets, your confusion, and your praise, because He hears. And not only does He hear, He responds, not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. And that, my dear, is where life begins to change. Not just the circumstances around you, but the atmosphere within you. Speak your prayer and watch the light shift. Speak your prayer and watch heaven touch earth. Speak your prayer and get ready, because something holy will begin to unfold in you. And when it does, you will never be the same. Not because you tried harder, not because you proved your worth, but because you prayed. And that, child, is the beginning of a life changed forever. Amen. Ah, beloved, let me tell you something the world won't shout from its busy corners and loud platforms. Surrender is not weakness. No, no. It is one of the strongest things you'll ever do. To surrender to God's will and power is not to fold under pressure, but to rise in purpose. It is not the crumbling of one's identity, but the awakening of it. Because when you finally lay it all down, your plans, your fears, your striving, and your sorrow, you make space for the divine to step in. And that, my dear, is when things begin to change. We are taught from the time we are small to hold on, to grip tightly, to gather all we can and protect it with clenched fists. We are told that if we do not fight for ourselves, no one will. But what if I told you that there is a deeper power found in letting go? What if true strength is found not in clinging, but in releasing? When you surrender to God, you are not giving up. You are handing over. You are saying, "Lord, I don't want to do this my way anymore. I trust that your thoughts are higher, your timing better, and your love deeper than anything I can manufacture or control." It takes courage to say that. It takes deep, bone-strong courage to look at your life, with all its broken pieces and tangled threads, and say, "Here, Lord, take it. Make something beautiful." It takes faith to admit you don't have all the answers, and trust that the one who made the stars does. God does not require your perfection. He's not asking you to show up with polished plans and flawless behavior. He asks for your heart, a willing heart, an open heart, a surrendered heart. Because once you surrender, you become like clay in the hands of the potter, malleable, shapeable, available for something greater than you could ever build on your own. We spend so much time fighting battles that were never ours to begin with. We lose sleep over what we cannot fix. We lose joy trying to carry burdens we were never meant to hold. But when you surrender, you exchange anxiety for peace. You trade confusion for clarity. You release the pressure to perform and step into the presence of purpose. Do you know what happens when you give God the wheel? You start seeing detours as divine redirections. You stop panicking when doors close. because you understand that some no's are God's protection. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize He's writing a custom story for you. One page, one prayer, one promise at a time. Oh, but surrender is not a one-time act. No, it's a daily practice. It's waking up every morning and saying, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. It's saying, even if I don't see it, I know you're working. Even if I don't feel it, I know you're moving. That's surrender. That's where transformation begins. Not in your doing, but in your yielding. And sometimes surrender will feel like silence. It will feel like waiting in a room with no windows, no clocks, no noise. But don't be fooled, child. God does His deepest work in the quiet. While you're waiting, He's weaving. While you're still, He's sculpting. While you're surrendering, He's setting things in motion that you can't yet see. Think about a seed buried in the ground. It looks lifeless, forgotten, but deep beneath the soil, a miracle is happening. Roots are growing, life is stirring, and in due season, that seed will break through the dirt and bloom. That's what surrender looks like. You may feel buried, but you are being planted. Let God water your soul with His word. Let Him shine the light of His presence over your pain. Let Him pull the weeds of bitterness and fear, and let Him grow in you a peace that the world cannot give, and surely cannot take away. Surrender means trusting God with the timing. Oh, how we wrestle with time. We want it fast, instant, now. But God is not rushed. He moves at the pace of preparation, and if you surrender to His pace, you will see that He is never late. He is always on time, right on time every time. So, my dear, lift your hands, not in defeat, but in trust. Lift your voice, not in panic, but in praise. Lift your eyes, not in despair, but in expectation. Say to the Lord, have your way with me. Even when I don't understand, I will obey. Even when the road is hard, I will follow. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I will trust your heart. Because the God who created the oceans, who hung the stars, who breathed life into dust, that God holds your life in His hands. And there is no safer, no sweeter, no stronger place to be than surrendered in His care. And when you surrender, truly surrender, you will begin to feel the shift. The burden will feel lighter. The path will feel clearer. The chaos will quiet, not because the storm has passed, but because the one who calms the storm is now at the helm of your ship. So don't be afraid to let go. Don't be afraid to lay it down. The hands of God are strong enough to carry what you cannot. His grace is wide enough to cover what you lack. And His plan is good enough to trust even in the dark. Surrender, my dear, and watch what God can do with a heart that says, yes, yes to His will, yes to His way, yes to the slow miracles and the sudden breakthroughs, yes to the pruning and the promise, yes to the mystery and the majesty. That's where change happens. That's where healing begins, where destiny unfolds, not in your striving, but in your surrender. So breathe, be still, and know that He is God. And your child, you are held. Fear is a liar dressed in the robes of reason. It tiptoes in wearing the shoes of safety, whispering in your ear with the voice of past hurt, of old disappointments. It says, don't try that. Don't go there. Don't dream too high or step too far. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that whisper more than the voice of the Almighty God who spoke galaxies into being and still makes time to whisper love songs into your soul. Fear, my dear, is an old ghost. It walks through the hallways of your mind rattling chains that Jesus already broke. It tells you that you'll fail again, that you'll be rejected, that you're not enough and never were. But hear me now, fear is not your friend. It is not your protector. It is not your compass. And you do not need to make a bed for it to sleep in your spirit. Because where fear speaks lies, faith speaks life. Faith, oh sweet faith, she is not loud. She does not shout or bang on your door. She waits patiently by the windowsill of your soul, waiting for you to notice her in the sunrise, in the silence, in the little miracles that show up when no one else is watching. Faith says, you can do it because God said you could. Faith says, step anyway, even if your knees are knocking. Faith says, the mountain will move, not because of your power, but because of your trust. When you let go of fear, even just a little, something inside begins to shift. It's like light cracks through a heavy curtain. A breath of wind in a room that's been still too long. You begin to remember that you are not alone in your battle. You begin to remember that the one who walks on water also walks with you. Fear will always try to keep you small. It will always point to your scars and remind you what went wrong. But faith points to your scars and says, this is where the healing began. Faith does not deny the storm, it just knows who controls it. Faith is not blind. It sees more than the eye ever could. It sees with the heart. It sees with trust. It sees with the certainty that no matter how dark the valley, the shepherd still walks beside you. And let me tell you this, child, you cannot walk in faith and fear at the same time. One will always drown out the other. But the good news is, every time you choose faith, no matter how small the choice, you grow stronger.
Every yes
to God in the face of trembling is a brick in the foundation of a fearless life. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you won't obey it. It means when fear says, turn back, faith says, press forward. It means when fear says, you're not qualified, faith says, God equips the called. It means when fear screams, it's over, faith whispers, it's just beginning. There is a strength in you that fear cannot touch. It was planted there by heaven itself, a divine resilience, a holy flame. And when you water that flame with the word, when you feed your soul with truth instead of lies, when you silence the voice of fear and lean into the voice of God, you become unstoppable. Now, don't misunderstand me. Fear may still knock on your door. It may show up on Monday mornings or lonely nights. But you don't have to let it in. You don't have to pour it tea or give it a seat at your table. You can say, not today, not anymore. I walk by faith now. The world tells you to be brave by your own strength, but God tells you, be strong in me. You don't need to carry the weight of the world. You need only to carry the word in your heart. You don't need to climb every mountain with your own hands. You need only to trust the one who made the mountains and knows every path. And when you walk by faith, the world will not always understand. They may call it foolish. They may question your choices, your peace, your joy in the midst of hardship. Let them question. Let them watch. Because faith, when lived out loud, becomes a sermon. It becomes a lighthouse. It becomes a testimony louder than any argument. Fear is loud, but faith is louder when spoken from a surrendered soul. Fear is paralyzing, but faith is power that moves you forward even when your legs feel weak. Faith holds your hand when you cannot see. It lifts your chin when your head hangs low. It reminds you that God has never lost a battle, and He's not about to start with yours. So today, right here in this moment, choose faith, even if it's just a mustard seed, even if it's shaky and uncertain, even if all you have is a whisper of belief left in your bones. That's enough. That's more than enough. God can work with your whisper. He can build with your brokenness. He can shape a miracle out of your mess. Let go of the lie that fear is protecting you. It's only imprisoning you. Step into the truth that faith sets you free. Free to dream again. Free to try again. Free to love, to hope, to rise, to fall and rise again. You were not made for fear. You were made for faith. You were not made for chains. You were made for wings. And when you begin to believe that, truly believe that, everything changes. So, walk on, child of God. Not by what you see, but by what you know in your spirit. Speak life. Breathe deep And trust that the same God who brought you this far will not leave you now. You are braver than you feel. You are stronger than you know. You are chosen, equipped, and covered. So silence the fear and let the voice of faith ring louder. Because when you let go of fear and embrace faith, you don't just survive. You soar. Each morning you rise is a sacred invitation. The breath in your lungs, the beat of your heart, the light peeking through your window, it is not by chance. It is not mere routine. It is God's way of saying, "My child, I'm not finished with you yet. You did not simply wake up. You were chosen to awaken. And with that waking comes purpose. Divine, unstoppable, unshakable purpose. Now don't you dare believe that your life is just a random sequence of events. No ma'am, no sir. Your life is a living, breathing manuscript being written by the hand of God himself. And every page, every sorrow, every triumph, every ordinary day in between is inked with intention. The world might rush you. The noise might drown out the whisper. But deep in your soul, you know when something higher is calling you. That tug in your spirit, that's purpose. That quiet voice that says, "You were made for more." That's God reminding you of who you are. So when you open your eyes each morning, don't rise like someone who's merely surviving. Rise like royalty. Rise like someone who's been trusted with this day by the Creator of time itself. Because that's what you are, a vessel of purpose. Handpicked to bring light into a world that often forgets what light even looks like. You see, purpose doesn't need a platform. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't wait for applause. Purpose shows up in the small things. How you speak, how you love, how you treat those who can do nothing for you in return. Purpose is waking up and saying, "Lord, use me." Not just when the world is watching, but when no one is. It is easy, child, to let life become a list of tasks. To rise and run, to work and worry, to move without meaning. But when you rise with intention, everything changes. You begin to see your life as more than what you do. It becomes about who you are becoming. You learn to slow down and hear what heaven is saying. You learn to walk not just in motion, but in direction. And oh, how beautiful it is to walk in direction. Not rushed, not random, but rooted. Rooted in truth. Rooted in grace. Rooted in the knowledge that you were made for such a time as this. You begin to make decisions differently. You guard your peace more carefully. You speak with more purpose and less panic. Because when you know who you are and why you're here, the opinions of others shrink. The noise of doubt quiets. And your spirit stands tall, even when your knees tremble. Let me tell you, beloved, intention is a holy thing. It's not about being busy. It's about being present. It's not about being perfect. It's about being faithful. God isn't looking for you to have all the answers. He's looking for you to say, yes. Yes to the day. Yes to the assignment. Yes to the Spirit's leading, even when it doesn't make sense. Rising with purpose means you no longer sleepwalk through your blessings. You no longer ignore the still, small voice inside. You stop wishing for a different life and start living the one God gave you. With reverence, with gratitude, and with courage. It's in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you pray before you plan, in the way you decide not to react, but to respond with grace, in the way you stop chasing what isn't yours and start cherishing what is. That's purpose, baby. That's a life steeped in intention. And hear me well, the world will try to pull you into performance, into hustle, into proving your worth. But purpose doesn't prove. It already is. Purpose doesn't perform. It embodies. You don't have to earn what God already gave you. You just have to walk in it. Now don't think walking in purpose means every day will be easy. Oh no. Purpose will test you. It will stretch you. It will take you into rooms where your voice shakes and your confidence wavers. But it will also bring you into alignment with blessings so big, so beyond your own strength, that all you'll be able to say is, Nobody but God. Purpose isn't afraid of pain. It transforms it. It takes the ashes of what broke you and turns them into oil to anoint others. It takes your past and uses it as a platform to preach deliverance. It takes your wounds and makes them wells for others to draw strength from. That is the beauty of rising with purpose. Nothing is wasted. Not the tears. Not the time. Not the trauma. God recycles it all for glory. But you must choose it. Every morning you must rise and choose to live on purpose. To silence the voice that says you're too late, too flawed, too far behind. Because God doesn't consult your resume when He calls your name. He looks at your heart, and a heart surrendered to Him is more powerful than the grandest title or the loudest crowd. You were not born to blend in. You were not created to coast through life in neutral. You were sent here with fire in your belly and destiny in your veins. So stand up straight. Speak with clarity. Walk with purpose. Pray like you mean it. Love like it costs you. Live like you know heaven is watching. Because it is. Let every morning be a declaration. I am here. I am awake. I am ready. Ready to do the work. Ready to love deeply. Ready to forgive quickly. Ready to walk boldly into the plans God has for me. Not because I'm perfect, but because I'm willing. Purpose doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for availability. And when you make yourself available, when you rise and say, Lord, here I am, the heavens move, the earth shifts, and your life becomes the sacred, extraordinary journey it was always meant to be. So tomorrow when you wake up, don't just scroll your phone. Don't just run toward routine. Sit with the silence. Soak in the light. Speak life over your day before the world speaks anything else. And rise, not just out of bed, but into your calling, into your identity, into your truth. Because every morning you rise with purpose. You walk a little taller. You breathe a little deeper. You love a little harder. And that, my dear, is how you change the world. One intentional sunrise at a time. Child, you've spoken prayers before. Some whispered in the dark when no one could hear you but God. Others cried out loud with trembling lips and hands raised to the heavens. But understand this, prayer is not just a string of words tossed toward the sky. It's not just a request list or a ritual to fill time. Prayer is a way of living, a rhythm, a posture. A song your soul sings long after the omen is spoken. You see, beloved, it's easy to think that prayer is a thing you do, a check mark on the spiritual list. But oh, it is more than that. Prayer is not just spoken. It is lived. And when you begin to live your prayer, when you allow it to be the melody of your movement, the tone of your thoughts, the fragrance of your very being, that's when real transformation begins. What good is a prayer spoken in morning light if your actions betray it by noon? What good is pleading for peace if your words carry bitterness? What good is asking God to guide your steps if you continue walking the same tired path out of habit and fear? No, my dear, the power of prayer is not just in its utterance. It's in its embodiment. To live your prayer is to be patient when you want to rush. To speak kindness when the world is cruel. To forgive, even when your pride begs you to hold a grudge. It's easy to fold your hands. It's harder to hold your tongue. But both are prayers when done in love. Both are offerings when done with humility. Prayer lived out is holding the door open not just for strangers, but for people who have wronged you. It's waking up and choosing joy before the sun rises, choosing love before it is returned, choosing faith before you see the proof. That is what it means to live your prayer. That is what it means to become the very words you speak to God. You are not praying for transformation if you are not willing to participate in it. You cannot ask God for a new season while clinging to old habits. You cannot ask for peace and speak poison. You cannot cry out for clarity and yet remain tangled in confusion by your own choosing. No, child, you've got to become your prayer. Let your feet walk in forgiveness. Let your hands serve in humility. Let your eyes seek goodness, even in the places where hurt still lingers. Let your ears be open, not just to voices that affirm you, but to the whisper of the Spirit correcting and guiding you. Let your prayer not just be a moment, but a movement. You see, when you live your prayer, people don't just hear your faith, they feel it. In the way you show up, in the way you treat them, in the way you handle pressure and pain. You become a living testimony, a walking answer to someone else's prayer. You become light in dark places, hope in despair, balm in brokenness. Living your prayer means consistency. Not just when it's easy, not just when people are watching, but when the crowd walks away and the applause dies down. When you're by yourself and the only witness is heaven. That is when the true prayer of your life is heard the loudest. And don't think for one moment that you have to be perfect. You don't. Living your prayer is not about getting everything right. It's about staying aligned. It's about turning back to God again and again. It's about getting up when you fall, repenting when you miss the mark, loving when it's inconvenient, and trusting when it doesn't make sense. It's about knowing that your life is the most powerful prayer you will ever speak, not just in what you ask for, but in how you show up, in how you love, in how you endure, in how you shine when the world tries to dim your light. Child, people will forget sermons. They'll forget songs and scriptures, but they will not forget how you lived. Your life is your greatest testimony. Your actions are the loudest prayers you will ever utter. You want to pray for a miracle? Then live like you believe miracles are real. You want to pray for joy? Then carry joy even in sorrow.